Good evening and welcome to Moyo Talks from a chilly Cape Town evening. My name is Mark Bind. I'm one of the founders of Moyo Talks, and we are a platform for all things to do with healing, personal development, and spiritual growth. And tonight we look forward to welcoming Creighton to our platform, who is one of our regular speakers. But before we get to Claire, I just want to make a few announcements for you guys before we get started. So firstly, if you've got any questions for Claire tonight, I invite you to post those questions into the Q&A tab that you'll find either at the bottom of your screen, or if you're on your phone, might be at the top of your screen. So any questions for the speaker, post them there, and at the end of her presentation, I'll ask those questions, or as many of the questions as possible. The other thing that you're invited to do is to comment into the chat box. Now, the chat you'll also find at the bottom of your screen. And I'm just going to post something there now for you to see it. Maybe while we're getting started, just post your name and where you're listening from this evening. And that'll just sort of help us connect with you guys. All right, so with that out the way, there's just one other thing that I need to share with you guys. Two people attending tonight, if you are present at the end of the evening, you stand a chance of winning one of two courses from Claire. So I'm going to post the link for you to enter into the chat now. All right, there's the link. If you go and enter and register on that page, and you are present at the end of the evening when we do the draw, you stand a chance of winning one of Claire's courses. So do go and enter now, because that will be well worth your while. So tonight we have the great pleasure of welcoming Creighton. Claire is a shamanic practitioner and an intuitive life coach. She offers shamanic healing, shamanic journeying workshops, shamanic drum journeys, heart healing meditations, intuitive life coaching, spirit photography, and various online courses. Claire studied and trained in London with the College of Psychic Studies, the School of Insight and Intuition, Second Sight Healing, the Sacred Trust, the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain, the Eagle's Wing, and the Four Winds Academy. She has also studied EFT with New Age International Training and is a qualified EFT practitioner. She also has a diploma in counseling skills from Kingston College of Further Education in London and a certificate in the Foundation of Modern Psychology from Birkbeck University in London. A whole lot to offer. Claire, welcome to Moyo Talks. It is a great pleasure to host you this evening.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I think it was about a year ago where I did my first online talk, and I'm very happy to be back. So thank you.
Great. I'm going to hand over to you. Let me know if you need anything.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. So welcome everybody to this evening's talk. And I'd love to start by just doing a little short meditation just to arrive into the space. So I invite you all just to get really comfortable in your seat and closing down your eyes. And bringing your awareness to your breathing as you take a nice deep in-breath. And sighing it out. Breathing in. Letting go. And one more deep in-breath. And release. Now is the moment to really allow yourself to let go of your day. Let go of your week, let go of tomorrow or anything that you may need to do later. Just allowing yourself to be present in this moment. As you connect with your breathing, connect with your body, noticing where you might be holding on to any stress or tension in your body. And with awareness, just choosing to let that go, let go and loosen your muscles. And then just connecting with your heart center in the center of your chest. You may wish to put your hand over your heart. Then as you breathe in and out, just imagine that you're able to breathe into your heart. Opening your heart, surrendering deep into that space where there's no judgment, just total acceptance and unconditional love. And gently now bringing your awareness back to your breathing as you take a few deep breaths. You can begin to move your head gently from side to side, just stretching your neck, maybe rolling your shoulders back a few times and forwards a few times. Giving your body a nice stretch. And then gently opening your eyes. So welcome again to everybody. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I have taken my glasses off. I will probably be putting them back on if I need to look at my notes, but for now I will keep them off so we can see each other properly. So a little bit about me and the work that I do. So as Mark said, I work as a shamanic practitioner, and I've been doing that since 2012 full time. So it was during my shamanic training in the UK. I was training in the forest in England. And it was during the weekend where we were being initiated into the element of earth. And a part of that ceremony was an underground and an overnight burial where we were buried under the earth. And we really all went into this real deep and visceral primal connection with this element of earth. And when the shaman came to get me out in the morning and he dug me out of the hole, I got this intense knowing and these words that said to me, you are to take this work back to South Africa. And at the time I had no plan to move back to South Africa, and this was all very new to me. It was quite a shocking revelation. And I really didn't think that I was going to be moving back to South Africa. But as one does, follow the call of spirit. And that's what I did, because it felt like such a strong calling that I had to move back here. Within 6 months, I had left my full-time job in the UK. I had moved back to South Africa, and I started my practice the following year in the April of 2012. So that's what I've been doing since then. And a part of what I do is to teach people to do what I do, but do it for themselves. So a part of the work that I do with people is going on shamanic journeys, and I will actually then go on the shamanic journey on behalf of the client to bring about healing for them, like soul retrieval or power retrieval, ancestral healing. But you can actually teach people to do this for themselves as well. So to do their own soul retrievals, their own power retrievals or ancestral healing. And I think that we all have the ability to do it. And this is a part of why I teach people to how to go on shamanic journeys and how to really connect with spirit and connect with their power animal for this higher wisdom and for healing. And so for many years, I was also teaching psychic development with the School of Intuition and Healing. And that was there was a similar reason why I believe that we are all intrinsically psychic. We've forgotten how to access that. And it's about really helping people to remember their ability as a seer and their ability as a healer for themselves, and maybe even for those in their community too. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is about shamanic journeying. I'm not going to be taking you on a shamanic journey because that you need a longer time to do that. But I am going to talk to you about how we would go on a shamanic journey, why we would do that, how we would meet with our power animal, how to look out for our power animal. I'm also going to talk about the different psychic senses that we use in these different worlds. And later on, I'm also going to talk about power. What is spiritual power? What is our true power? How can we lose it? What is power loss? And how can we reclaim it? And there'll be a couple of practical exercises throughout the evening as well, just to kind of keep us a bit engaged and so that you can practice a little bit and see how you navigate these worlds. So to start off, what is a shamanic journey? And I'm going to ask you, what do you think a shamanic journey is? Does anybody have any answers that they'd like to put in the comments? What do you think? Or maybe some of you know what a shamanic journey is. Let me see what people think or feel or know about it so I can get a gauge of where you're at. Glasses going on now so I can read. Anybody? Nobody's having a guess? Oh, it's about connecting with people who have left the earth. Wow, yes. Mental journey in and open. Yeah, connecting to spirit. Yeah, higher power. Journeying into the upper and the lower world. Yes, for sure. I'll talk more about that. Inward journey, absolutely. A journey into spirit worlds. Yeah, yeah. Connecting to bring about soul healing. Yeah, like soul retrieval as well is a part of that. Traveling to different aspects of your consciousness. Yes, different levels. And I'm going to talk about that as well. Yeah, connecting to one's higher self, because essentially everything is connected and we are everything. So when we're connecting with these higher beings, we're actually really connecting also with the higher aspect of ourselves. Journeying into different dimensions, absolutely. Okay. So it sounds like a few of you are certainly aware of what shamanic, or partly aware maybe of what shamanic journeying is. So that's great. So a shamanic journey is a deep meditative state where we are going to shift our state of awareness, our state of consciousness from this ordinary reality into what the shaman calls non-ordinary reality. So we need to shift our state of awareness to match the field of the world that we are going to. So from a shamanic perspective, we have three different worlds. We have this middle world, which is called the ordinary reality, where you and I live right now, okay, on this earth. Then we have a place of the upper world, where it's in a higher dimensional frequency. And if we imagine things like the clouds and the sky and air and birds and ascended masters and angels, they all exist in the place called the upper world. It feels ethereal. And then we have a place called the lower world, which is a lower frequency, and it's more earthy, it's more primal. And this is below us, where we would have the nature spirits, we would have the animal spirits, the ancestors. And so neither of these worlds, the upper or the lower world, are any better or worse than each other. They just exist in different vibrational frequencies. So when we shift our state of awareness to match that of the world that we're going to, that enables us to see and hear in those worlds. Okay. So middle world, upper world, lower world. And what we do to get to these different worlds is we use something called a portal, which is actually another word for it is an axis mundi, A-X-I-S-M-U-N-D-I, axis mundi. It's a portal that takes us from this middle world up into the upper world or down into the lower world. So it's a bit like, Mark, if you put up the slide, if you wouldn't mind, the one about the fairy tales. I want you all to have a think about some of the fairy tales that you read or watched as a kid. In particular, fairy tales like Alice in Wonderland, where she falls down the rabbit hole. So she falls down from a shamanic perspective, she's falling down the portal of the rabbit hole into the lower world, into this great world there, right, under the earth. If you think of Jack and the Beanstalk, he's going to be climbing up the beanstalk right high up beyond the clouds to go and get the magic bean, I think it is, he gets up there. But that's going to be the place of the upper world. So that's his portal. He's climbing up there. If you think of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and we've got Lucy going into the world of Narnia. She's walking through a wardrobe. Okay. So if you imagine these things like the fairy tales, these are all the portals. And so what we do, one of the shamanic practices is to learn how to find your portal. And then you would always use that same portal each time to travel either to the upper world or to the lower world. So your portal could be something like a tree. It's quite commonly something that we would use that's in nature. So it could be maybe a tree that you would then climb down the roots of the tree and go down into the lower world. Or you could maybe climb up the branches and then go up with birds into the upper world. Or it might even be a waterfall that takes you down through the water. It could be an anthole. Essentially, it can be anything taking you down or up. And it can be something that is made up, so something in your imagination that you make up, or it could be a real thing, a real place that you visited that just you see naturally in your journey. That's where the portal is. And that's the portal that you would then use each time. So it's a really powerful practice, and you would use the same one to go in and you use the same one to come back out again. So the fairy tales, I think, is quite a nice way to think about what these portals could look like and how they get you to these other places. So what else do I want to say in this stage? 3 different worlds I've spoken about, portal. Yeah, okay. And why we go on the shamanic journey? We go on the shamanic journey because very often in our lives, we're involved in our life. We are involved in our life. The people are involved in our life. We are operating from the perspective of the human. We're operating from the perspective of this world. We're seeing things very often from the perspective of this world. when you travel to these other dimensions, you're going to receive a heightened awareness, an awareness that is more, it's pure. It's not so involved in the story. Okay, so it's a great place to go to if you're looking for pure spiritual wisdom, like proper spiritual wisdom about what is going on for you in your life and how can you move beyond whatever these obstacles or these challenges are in your life right now. Okay, you're not just going to get spiritual wisdom or insights. What's also going to happen is they, either your guardian angel or your ascended masters in the upper world or your power animal in the lower world, can actually perform healing for you. Okay, so you might be going through, let's say, some pain in your body, and then you do a journey into the lower world to meet with your power animal, to ask your power animal, why is this pain showing up for me in my body? And then what the power animal can do is show you and explain to you exactly what is causing that pain in your body. But then even expanding on that, they can bring about healing for you, whatever it is that they need to do for you in order to bring about that healing or that change within your body. And of course, you can also do this for other people. So not just for yourself, you could then learn to, how do you then help to heal other people by going on journeys and getting information for other people as well. So that's essentially what a shamanic journey is and why we would go on one. You can also go on shamanic journeys. I think somebody said earlier on, to connect with loved ones in spirit. You can go into their worlds to connect with them as well, to connect with your ancestors, to go way back in time to connect with them, and sometimes to bring healing to the ancestors as well. But also just to really connect with them and feel that sense of blood connection with those beings way back in your past. Okay. So what is a power animal? A power animal is a helping, compassionate, and loving and wise being in spirit that is there to help you and support you. Okay. So, as I said, they're going to bring you information and they're going to heal you. One of the most important and common things that a power animal is going to work with you on is your power. Okay. So if you feel like you are not in your power, if you feel like you are losing your power in any way, you can meet with your power animal and they can really help you to remain in your power and to see where you might be losing your power. I see that my screen is freezing a little bit. Can everybody still hear and see me okay? Okay, I don't know why just do let me know if there is an issue with that, but that's great. Okay. So they're going to bring you your power, and they can help you to see where you might be losing your power. And this is actually, I think, a really essential practice for us to be doing right now, because we're living in a world where, we're living in a world whose collective power has been lost. So we're not experiencing power loss just as an individual, we're experiencing power loss as a collective. And I think it's becoming more and more apparent to us how much power has either been taken away from us as a collective, or how much we have been giving away as a collective. And so because of the collective power loss, we are also experiencing individual power loss, or we have experienced individual power loss in the past. And so I just think that this is a very important practice for us to be doing right now on a daily basis, checking in with ourselves. Where am I losing my power? How can I maintain it? And how can I not lose it as I move forward in the future? And so every a shaman will work with his power animal or her power animal whenever they are going into the lower world. And traditionally, a shaman works in the lower world, but they work in the upper world too. But it's very common for a shaman to work in the lower world because this is where we're going into the deep shadow. We're going into the shadow work. We're going into the world that is often hidden to us, that we are not normally aware of. So we're going to be looking at our own shadow. We're going to be looking at the shadow of other people in order to bring it into the light, in order to bring healing. And so every shamanic healer or every shaman is going to work with their power animal to do this. And they're going to work with them to do it for themselves as well as for other people. What else do I want to say about what they do for us? They protect us, okay? So when there's another shamanic practice where you actually can merge with your power animal and you can become your power animal. And when you know how to do that, whenever you are feeling like you need protection, especially, if you're walking into a busy mall or you walk into a room and you just feel like the energy in that room is not great, you can merge with your power animal and your power animal becomes your protector. They're also your guide. So when you're in the lower world and you're feeling uncomfortable in a way, they are your protector in that space. They will also guide you around. Because you're traveling to a world that is not your usual residence, you need a guide to show you around because you don't know your way around that world. So it's a little bit like if you were traveling to a new city, you're going to hire a tour guide or you're going to ask a friend who lives there to show you around. It's a little bit like how the power animal works with us. They are going to help us navigate these different worlds. Okay, so power, protection, insight, healing. Yeah, okay. Are there any, I know we're going to do questions at the end, but just, are there any questions or is anybody not understanding anything before I continue? Okay, looks like you're all good. So I have a question just regarding the higher and lower worlds of different vibrations. Yeah, Dre. Hi, Dre. Understanding. Yeah, so the higher and the lower worlds are different vibrations, as is the middle world. So if you imagine the color blue compared to the color red, or a high tone like a violin, like a ooh, compared to a drum, which is a lower tone, this is kind of the different vibrational, what I mean by different vibrations. It's like the oscillation is different in those different worlds. I hope that makes sense. I missed a question there about anger. When you say the lower world is such as anger. Yeah, well, yes, because so another way to imagine the lower world and the upper world is the lower world goes from the heart downwards with your chakras, and the upper world will go from your heart upwards. So very often, so the stuck emotions that we feel like anger, fear, resentment, jealousy and all that, and that are stuck in the solar plexus, the sacral, that's what you're going to go into if that's what you need to deal with in the lower world, and you're going to see why you would be feeling that. So you have to kind of go through those lower emotions in that space, and that's why it's called the shadow, because often we can often hide those emotions. We don't want to see them. But then when we look at anger, or we look at fear in the face and we see why it's there, it then actually takes it into the light, and it can be transmuted when we see what these things are in the lower world. or great understanding. I'm going to talk about that now, Simon, about communication. How do we find? I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Okay. Okay, these questions coming through, I'm going to answer now. So I'm not going to look at all the rest of the questions, but I will, if there are any there that I don't answer, please feel free to ask at the end. So we have the very common question that is asked is, how many power animals do we have? And yeah, so I'm going to give you from my experience, and there are different schools of thought, but what I was taught and what I have experienced, I'm going to tell you. In my experience, we have one main power animal that is with us throughout our life. In saying that, we may have many, many different spirit animals that work with us and that flow or run towards us at different times of our life in order to work with us because we're going through a specific issue or theme, or we're working on a project that animal is better aligned at working with us on. So for instance, an example is my main power animal. I have one main power animal, and then it was during the hard lockdown in South Africa last year. I think it was for about 3 months, where we were on a really strict lockdown where we couldn't even go outside and exercise. And anyway, during that 3 months, I was going through so much change. And every time I went into a shamanic journey, I was working with the snake energy and the snake spirit. And that's not my normal power animal. And Snake was talking to me all about transformation and change and how I was shedding my old skin. And then on the first day, I think, Mark, there's a slide there of a photograph I took of the snake. On the first day that we were allowed out to exercise in the morning, I think it was something like between 6 and 9 in the morning, you could exercise outside. I went for a walk, and on my walk, I saw a snake skin. And there's a photograph there of the snake skin on the road. And it's just a great example of firstly, how spirit animals work with us that are not necessarily our power animal, but also about how they can appear in this middle world, this ordinary reality to us to bring us the messages. And so for me, that was just a really beautiful discovery or a recognition that Snake was definitely working with me, and I was on the right track of shedding my old skin. So yeah, I think we can have, well, from my experience and what I was taught, as I said, we have one main power animal, and then we have spirit animals that work with us. Our main power animal is going to bring to us the power and the gifts that are true to the essence of who we are. So it's not, your power animal is not going to be an animal that you want to be like. I mean, your power animal could be an animal you want to be like, but it's more about your power animal is what you are. It's not what you want to be. So let's say you were born a master communicator, for instance. I'm just hypothesizing. You're a master communicator, and let's say your power animal then is the eagle, and the eagle tells you that they are here to help you master your communication, which is what you intrinsically, in the essence of who you are, that's what you are. Or let's say your power animal is some sort of a sea creature that flows through the water, and maybe your power, you have like this master power to be in flow in life and to help others be in flow. That's intrinsically who you are. And so your power animal is here to help you be an even more powerful version of what you are already. If you are born a deep nurturer, and that's what you're here to do, be a healer, be a nurturer, maybe you have the power animal of the bear, because the bear is the one who nurtures and comforts and is the healer. So these are the different things that the power animal will do for us and with us, and they will communicate with us how we receive them. So this brings us on to psychic communication with the power animal. Your power animal, when you travel into these worlds, you are not necessarily going to see everything. Quite often, I don't know if you find this very often actually in meditation. The meditation teacher says, see this and see that, but a lot of people don't actually see. A lot of people sense, or they just know, or they might even hear, right? So your psychic sense might be you really sense and you feel things in your body, or you might just really know things to be true. Then that's more than likely going to be how your power animal will communicate with you. Okay. So they're going to match the way that you receive them. There are different, I think there's a slide there, Mark, on the different psychic senses, where we have clairvoyance, which is to see. So you might go to the lower world and actually literally see your power animal, okay? Or we have clairaudience, which is to hear. You might hear your power animal speaking to you. A bit like that morning when I came out the earth that morning and I heard that voice saying to me, you are going back to South Africa. That was like a clear hearing, okay? Clear, and then so I've said hearing, seeing, knowing. Claircognizant, that is, you just know. You're somebody who walks into a room and you just know something about somebody even though you don't even know them. You have it, you probably have a very strong ability to psychically know things. And then which ones have I said? Clairvoyance, sentience. Clairaudience is to hear, you hear things. Voyance is to see. The less common ones, but certainly ones that you could have as well, are clairsentist, which is to actually smell. So you could go into the lower world and you could it could really be like alive with smell. You could smell the ivy, you could smell the ocean, you could smell the fire crackling. That could be your psychic sense. And then clairaugustant, which is taste. So those bottom two are the less common ones, but that is going to be how they communicate with you. They're also going to communicate with you in your dreams. They're going to communicate with you through many ways in this world to get your attention. Because if you want to meet your power animal, it's going to want to get your attention as well. It wants you to meet with it. And somebody asked earlier on, how do you know it's your power animal and how do you meet it? The practice is when you go into the lower world for the first time, this is the first journey you do as a shaman, or if you want to do shamanic training, you will go into the lower world and the first thing you do is you meet with your power animal. The way that you know it's your power animal, firstly, you have a very strong intention about why you're going into the lower world. You're going there to meet your power animal. But more importantly, the power animal is going to be the most dominant animal that shows itself to you there in the lower world. And traditionally, the power animal must show itself to you at least 5 times in the lower world on that journey. I'm saying show itself, you know what I mean? Or you could hear or know. It doesn't necessarily need to be an image of the power animal. If you are seeing it, it doesn't have to be the whole lion or the whole tiger. It could be a tail or an eye or just the color or a stripe or something, or it could be the sound of the bird, or it doesn't have to show itself exactly the same way all the time, but it must be the most dominant one, and it must show itself to you at least 5 times. And the reason for that is that when you go to the lower world, there's often a lot of animals down there, and it can be quite busy, and because they're interested in you and in what you are there for. And so you would repeat over and over again, I'm here to find my power animal, etc. And it's actually not difficult to find your power animal. You do a journey, and if you have a strong intention, it would normally show itself to you within the first, or at least with the first couple of journeys, you'll find it. So Let me see what else I have. So you got one main power animal. You got other power animals. What time are we on? Yeah, I think I'm going to continue talking. I was going to do, I'm going to continue talking here. I think I answered most of the questions that were there. Yeah, we had the same power animal throughout our lives. But as I say, you know, different spirit animals will come work with you at different times. So like if you're working on a book or something like that, you might have like an eagle might fly in to give you a higher perspective. Or as I said, like with the snake, it can help you transform things, etc. Okay. What does a wolf mean or represent? A wolf is, traditionally, I actually don't like to answer questions about animals because I don't know all the answers to what the different symbol of animals are. And I was also taught that if anybody ever asks you anything, your answer to them should be ask the wolf, or ask that animal, go and journey to it and ask it, because that's going to be the most powerful learning for you, because it might tell you things that the teacher's not going to tell you. But off the top of my head, a wolf is very much about family, tribe, and they have a very, very sharp instinct, very instinctual, but very much about protecting their family, very much about in their family. Maybe other people have got more ideas of what a wolf means. Yeah, but that's so many people ask that, and yeah, but it's a great practice to go and ask the wolf. I'd be interested to see what he or she wolf says to you, Valerie. Okay. Oh, Rachel, with your name being Claire. I know, I only realized that a couple of years ago. I actually hadn't realized that my name means clear. Somebody said to me, your name means clear. And then somebody actually highlighted that all the different psychic senses are clear. And I was like, oh, that's probably why I do what I do. Okay. So I'm going to go on talking now, and then we're going to do an exercise. I'm going to talk to you about power and power loss and power retrieval. I spoke a little bit earlier on about how we are losing power as both as a collective and as individuals. And so, and how our power animal can really help us reclaim our power. So some symptoms of power loss are, Mark, I think we have a slide there on symptoms. But some symptoms of power loss are things, and this is not, I mean, there are many different symptoms. I'm just going to give you a few. Are things like addictions, diseases, illnesses, codependent type behaviors, somebody who never can really make positive changes in their life, somebody who is doubting themselves, somebody who has a lot of drained energy. These can be symptoms of power loss. Causes of power loss, or one of the main causes of power loss, would be feeling like something is more powerful than you, outside of yourself. The minute we think that something is more powerful than us, we can then lose our power to it. So we can lose our power to social media. We can lose our power to not feeling good enough. We can lose our power to our negative thought forms, to holding on to the past, or to thinking too much about the future, or to thinking, well, I'm going to be happy when that happens. We're not being present in our power right now. Another thing that where we can really lose our power is when we're living a life that is actually not congruent for the truth of who we are. Yeah, so if we're not living true to ourselves, we're going to be out of alignment, and we can lose power to that. It can really drain our energy. A really big one is the thought forms. I think that for me is probably one of my biggest ways where I can lose my power, is I go down this spiral of thinking things that are really not helpful for me. And then I have to really catch myself and then say, right, I'm not losing my power to those thoughts anymore. I'm going to change them, right? And then also thinking too much about the past or the future is taking me away from the power of the present moment. And so, yeah, in any type of addiction, we live in an addicted world. We live in a world filled with addictions, filled with temptations. And I'm not just talking about the normal drug and alcohol, the addiction to social media, the addiction to work, the addiction to food, all sorts of things. We can lose our power to the type of food that we eat. Even it's as simple as that. What are we putting into our body that is not actually sustaining us, that's not actually creating the foundation for us to be the most powerful version of ourselves? What are these things that are taking our power away? And so one of my stories about power loss was when I first started doing healings. Even though I was doing the work that I loved doing, like I'd left full-time employment in the UK. It was when I moved back to South Africa. I was self-employed, but after about the first year, I was absolutely exhausted. My energy was drained and I felt powerless, even though I was doing this work and I changed my whole life. And so I did a journey to my power animal and I asked it, why am I feeling so drained? I'm doing everything I love. I'm living the life that I want. What's going on with me? My power animal told me that a lot of what I was doing in the beginning was I so badly wanted to help people, okay, was that I didn't have good boundaries. And I wanted to save people, and I would overextend my time that I spent with people in healings, or I would constantly be offering advice to people even when they hadn't asked me for advice. And my power animal showed me that's where I was losing my power. I was losing my power because I was wanting to save people and I wasn't really helping to heal people. I was working in the shadow, and that actually really frightened me. But I made changes. So my power animal explained to me how to put up boundaries, how to have more self-worth as well, and put myself first, because I was putting everybody else first. And it was the first time that I really began putting myself first and not seeing it as being selfish, but seeing it as being essential to being in my power. And very, very soon after that, all my strength and my vitality and power came back. So that's just one example of how we could lose our power, and then how our power animal can give us the information to change that. Yeah, so I would love to do an exercise with you. Before I do, are there any questions around? I know we're going to do questions at the end, but just before I do the exercise, are there any questions around power or power loss before? Okay, looks like you're all pretty on track. I'm going to do a practical exercise with us. As I said at the beginning, I can't do a shamanic journey with you in such a short space of time, but I'm going to do a journey of sorts where you are going to meet with an animal. I don't know if it's going to be your power animal, if it's just going to be a spirit animal that's going to come in and talk with you. But you're going to meet with the spirit animal and I won't tell you too much because I don't want your thinking mind to get in the way. But I'm going to guide you. You're going to have time to get information, and then I'll bring you back. So I'm just going to give you about a minute or two just to maybe you want to light a candle, maybe you want to light some incense, get yourself comfortable. You can lie down or cover yourself with a nice blanket, get nice and cozy. We're going to probably be about, not long, 10 minutes maybe. Okay. So bringing your awareness to your breathing. Taking a few purifying breaths in and out. Allowing your entire body to soften and relax. Relaxing your head and your neck, and allowing your shoulders to drop down. Softening your arms and your hands. And softening your whole back and your front. And relaxing both your legs and your feet and your toes. So your entire body can let go now. Your physical body does so much for you. Just allowing your body to let go. You're going to imagine that you can breathe into your heart again. Just connecting with your beautiful heart, that space of unconditional love. And are you going to imagine, sense, or feel that you're walking along a beautiful pathway in nature? Feeling safe, happy, and at peace. And noticing everything along that pathway. Notice if there are any trees or flowers, plants, birds. Maybe there's water nearby. Just notice this pathway in nature as you walk along at peace. And as you walk along this beautiful pathway, you notice up ahead of you a sacred circular clearing. Maybe it's surrounded by trees or crystals or rocks. Walking towards this clearing. And as you look inside, you see in the middle sacred fire. And with honor and respect, you step inside the sacred circular clearing. You find somewhere comfortable to sit down and just notice this beautiful fire and this space for a moment or two. And in a moment now, a beautiful spirit animal is going to arrive into that space for you, a compassionate and wise being. It may be a bird, a four-legged, any animal that wishes to speak to you now. Just allow it to arrive into the sacred clearing. And greeting them, welcoming them into the space, thanking them for being here today. And you're going to talk to the spirit animal. Tell the spirit animal that you are interested to know about your power. You're interested to know where you might be losing your power, or who you might be losing your power to, or what. I'm going to leave you for a few moments as the spirit animal shows you, tells you, or you just get a sense from them. Where are you losing your power? And you're going to ask your spirit animal, how can you not lose your power? What do you need to do or not do in order to not give your power away or lose this power? And are you willing to make these changes? Tell your spirit animal that you're willing. And the spirit animal is going to bring back your power to you. You might see it like a fireball, golden light, however it shows itself to you. See your power animal now returning your power to you, that lost power. See it fill every cell of your being. Receive your power back to you now. And as you do so, I want you to imagine that you're looking in that sacred fire now, and I want you to see yourself living with your power, full in your power. What would your life look like when you're living full in your power? I'll take you through the themes. What would your relationship look like? What would your work look like? Your health? Your relationship with money? Any other parts of your life? What would it look like when you're living fully in your power? Just breathe those visions into your body now. Receive them into your body. Whatever you can see, sense, or feel is what you can have. So know that this is true for you, and you can have this. And as you do so, just receive any last pieces of wisdom or insight from the spirit animal as to how you can move forward fully in your power in your life. And in a moment, it's going to be time to leave that space. But before you do so, you may wish to give your thanks to the spirit animal. As you allow them now to leave that space, giving thanks to the sacred fire, And then beginning to make your way away from that space, stepping out of the circular clearing and just honoring that space before you leave. Perhaps leaving an offering, maybe tobacco or crystal. Stepping back along your pathway in nature, and you're going to walk back exactly the same path and notice all those nature around you, all the different trees and plants and flowers. And you're going to take 3 deep breaths. And as you do so, you're going to imagine, sense, or feel that you are stepping fully back into your body. And as you step fully back into your body, really feel that power. Know your power. Know that you are a powerful being at this time. And then gently moving and stretching your body. And returning into the room. You can open your eyes. And I think we have a poll that Mark will put up on the screen in a moment, the poll around where we lose our power, Mark. If it's there, it's not absolutely essential, but it might be quite nice to do that poll now. Thank you. Okay. Mark, does the poll come off the page when it's finished, or do I click it off? Oh, you clicked it off. Okay. Oh, it's finished. Yeah. Negative thoughts, big one. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So this was a very, very quick introduction into the shamanic journey and power animals and power. I mean, it's, we only really had about an hour to do this. So it was very quick, but I hope that you got tremors and shaking in right arm when talking about power. Yeah. I hope that you got something from it, and that you at least learned a thing or two, or maybe learned a little bit about your power. As I said, it was quite a short time, but I think I got the gist of what shamanic journeying is and what power animals are for us and how they can work with us. So I think that's kind of all that I have to share this evening. I'd love to hear from you, and maybe we can talk some more throughout the questions and the answers. I've got a few more things to share with you about things that I've got coming up as well. But maybe Mark can let us know what we're doing now, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, Claire, there are a couple of questions that have come in that are worth sharing on the Q&A tab. Okay. Karen or Karen wants to know is, why do I get an uncomfortable feeling when journeying to the lower world? Very claustrophobic feeling, like I want to escape.
Did you say the person's name is Karen?
Yes.
Okay, Karen, thanks, Mark. That's not uncommon, and it is actually how I felt when I first began shamanic journeying. So I was very used to, meditation and sitting with a candle and being peaceful and traveling to the upper world and connecting with angels. And then I had a deep calling to follow the shamanic path. At that time, I didn't actually even know what a shaman was. Anyway, but that's another story. But anyway, so when I went into the training, it was deeply uncomfortable for me because firstly, I wasn't used to traveling into the lower world. And secondly, like I said earlier, the lower world is very much about the shadow. And so it can feel claustrophobic when we go down there, especially in the beginning, because we're going into a denser place that might feel foreign and dark to us. So ways that we can get through that is when you travel down into the lower world, you can make your journey as easy as you want to. So you can take a torch with you. You can take a teddy bear if that makes you feel comfortable. You can take candles. You can ask your guardian angel or maybe a loved one in spirit to go with you as well. So whatever makes you feel comfortable in that space, that's what you do. But then I don't know if you've met your power animal yet, but once you've met with your power animal, they are really going to be the ones that are going to help you to navigate in that place. And it's not always feeling like that. It just can feel like that in the beginning if you're not really used to that world. But it is a very beautiful space to travel to. Yeah, I hope that kind of helps.
Thanks, Claire. And we're going to do one more question before we talk about what you've got coming up, and then we will do the draw for the winner, and then we'll come back to maybe another question. There's a question from Flavia. When you say your power animal is what you are, do you mean what the self is or what the human identity is? I'm not sure if I understand that completely, but maybe you do. But I know you were speaking earlier about the sort of characteristics or the traits of the power animal, and you mentioned the bear and some of the other animals. Maybe you can speak about that.
So, from my understanding, we come into this world, and each of us has, we obviously we all come from, I believe, we're all one. So we come from, let's say, a place that is all one consciousness. But as we individuate, become individuals from that original consciousness, those individual strands each have, I'm going to use the word talents and skills for want of better words, but each have their own vibrational frequency, their own uniqueness. And it's that uniqueness of power, your gift. What is your gift? That your power animal is as well. So your gift doesn't necessarily mean that it's not about this whole big grand purpose that you've got to go out there and be this big powerful being. Your gift could be that you are an astute listener. And so it could be that the animal that is the greatest listener, that has the highest attuned ears, could be your power animal to help you to really remember how to use and tap into that uniqueness that you as an individual are, because you're different to anybody else. So I don't know if that makes sense and answers your question, but that's really, so yeah, it's not about trying to aspire to be an animal. It's fine. We can use the power of different animals, but your power animal is going to be what you are,
Okay, great. That's great. Thank you, Claire. So maybe you can just speak to us about your upcoming courses, or the courses that you have available, because obviously our shortly to be announced winners will be winning one of these courses.
Okay, thanks. So I've got various things coming up. I've got online courses. So there is an online course that teaches you everything I spoke about tonight in this very short space. There is an online course that's done in 10 sections that teaches you how to go on the shamanic journey. You actually go on the shamanic journey to meet with your power animal. You also go on shamanic journeys to look at your power, to receive more power back to you. You work with you do exercises around your psychic senses, you do an exercise around finding your portal, etc. And there's a lot of teaching and experientials in that. So that's the Shamanic Journey to the Lower World course. And then I have another course called A Mystical Surrender to the Heart, it takes you through a journey of the heart from compassion, forgiveness, acceptance, balance, giving, receiving, all the way through to joy. And within those meditations, we work with one of your spirit animals, your guardian angel, your inner child, dolphins, Mother Earth. So it's a beautiful course around meditation and journeys for the heart. And those courses, I've actually only just launched my online shop. So those courses are on a launch special at 15% off until Sunday, if you would like to buy. And there are codes there that you could use at checkout. The codes are on there. And then I have a shamanic workshop coming up on the 24th of July next month. It's going to be held here in Cape Town. It's an all-day workshop, which is basically teaching all the shamanic lower world stuff, power animals, and then you would get to do it. And that's with a live drum. That would be me drumming in the space, taking you on various journeys throughout the day, working specifically with your power, your personal power. And then I have a retreat coming up end of November, beginning of December, and that's also here just outside Cape Town, which is going to be for 2 nights doing this kind of work. But there's also going to be yoga, and it's going to be a gentle retreat. It's not going to be too much hard work at all, but throwing in some shamanic work and some journey work into that as well. So everything is on my... Actually, everything's not on my website as we speak. I haven't put it up yet, but it will be going up on my website. But if you have queries, you can just get in contact with me. That would be great.
All right. Thanks, Claire. All of that sounds very good. And I'm sure everyone who decides to join you will find great benefits in those courses and workshops. But 2 people who are still online and are still listening have won access to one of those courses. And I'm glad to see that the names that the system generated are still here. The first one is Malu van Leuven or Leuven. Malu, if you can send us an email to talks@moyocenter.com. Congratulations. And the other person, Meryl Berilovitz. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Meryl B., you have been chosen by our system to be the other winner. So congratulations.
Yay!
So please do send us an email, talks@moyocenter.com. I'll type that in here.
Oh, well done. That's beautiful.
And the rest of you, you've got the details. You can go into Claire's website and you'll be able to buy access to one of those courses or those workshops. So thank you very much, guys. Now, let's do 2 more questions before we wrap things up, because there's some very interesting stuff on here. From Marion, I had many dreams about snakes, never scary, but had no way to know how to communicate with them. I knew that they meant transformation, but that was it. It was very frustrating. How could I have communicated with them?
Go on a shamanic journey. Sorry, that's an irritating answer, isn't it? How can you communicate with the snake? I don't know if you know much about dreaming, like how you can go back into a dream. So try going back. What you can do to get back into a dream is remember like something from the dream, like something that really stood out, like maybe a doorway or a color or a smell or even the snake. And as you're falling asleep at night, really focus your awareness on that thing from that dream and make it your clear intention before you go to sleep that you want to go back into the dream. And see how that goes, because you might find yourself back in that same dreamscape and become the conscious dreamer. So conscious dreaming is really powerful, where you can actually start asking questions in the dream. That's one thing that you could do. A second thing that you could do is, if you like to journal and write, you can actually begin to write your dream down. And as you write the dream, ask the snake to speak to you through your writing. Ask the snake, what is it that you were actually telling me? And just be curious to see what flows through your consciousness and what comes out of your pen in answer, because it's called automatic writing, where the snake can actually begin to communicate with you through your writing. And then, of course, I wasn't joking when I said shamanic journeying. I mean, that would be the way I would go into talk with anything, is I would do a shamanic journey to it and talk to it in that way.
Okay, thanks, Claire. And last question for tonight. Sally Lynn says, when you say that one goes into the shadow when going into the lower world, is it one's own shadow or the collective shadow?
Oh, such a great question. Yeah, both. It depends what your intention for the journey is. So you can actually do journeys that are to the collective. You can do journeys to places in this world that show you the energy of that collective space. Yeah, it really depends on your intention, but for sure you can tap into the shadow of the collective and of your own. If you're going in to look at something to do with, I'm just going to use the anger example from earlier, something to do with anger, you're going to go specifically to your own story. But if you're looking at the anger of the world, then you're going to go into the story of the collective.
All right, Claire, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom with us this evening. I know it's been of great benefit to myself, and I'm sure for everybody else listening in, it's really, been worthwhile. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us.